Okay, so it is going to take 2 sheets, and you just want, I've got it about 1/8 of an inch off the bottom of this piece. So 1/8 of an inch in, and then make a mark, about 1/4 of an inch up from the gully onto this second sheet, this second, your binding part. Blah, 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 blah. And I'll give you a measurement. That is approximately 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to make the other one 6.5 inches. All right. And then I'll cut both of these the same width. And I'll give you a measurement on that as well. I'll cut them together for speed's sake here. And that is at, 7, not quite 7.5. No, wait a minute. There's 1/4, there's 1/2, yeah. So just 1 tick back, 7.5, but just use your pencil mark. You measure it for your box, because you might have started with a different box. Okay, so we're going to lay it where we wanted it. And I am going to hold it in place, and I'm going to find my gully and work it. I got a little off. Make sure you're holding into place. You could, actually, why don't we do that? Let's go ahead and glue, the bottom inch. We'll get that much done. We'll get this exactly where we want it. Oops. And be happy with where we have it. There. Now, Dad makes me happy. I love crafting. Oh my gosh, I love crafting. It's just so much fun. I can make anything I want, and I just love that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead while we let that dry so that it won't move. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And it looks good. I do have a pencil mark. And you can also flip the page if you got a pencil mark and you don't want to erase it. Just flip it over. It's as easy as that. And just about 1 inch and a half up, whatever floats your boat. And there we go. Make sure you're nice and straight. Yep. Okay. Burnish. Okay, I think we're good now. So now it's not so hard to hold it. So find your outermost part and then find your middle and kind of get that pushed down in there, and then go against the other side of it. And then you have about 1/4 of an inch onto this piece of chipboard so that it's not going to be seen. Okay? If you're worried, go up 1/2 inch. And then you know nothing's going to get seen. Okay? So you can totally do that. It probably would have been a good idea. But if I have a problem, all I'll do is come and butt up a piece and put it against it. But I would say if you're going to cut these out, cut them out 1/2 inch longer. And then you will be totally fine. No problemo. So I am just going to go right to the edge of this longer piece of chipboard, keeping the glue off of the gully that we made. So just laying it down on the flat surface. There we go. Okay, I'm going to fold this back a little bit, and I'm going to take some score tape and put down on both of these. I was just going to use glue, but I think, you know, this one specifically is going to have more tension on it than any other place. So I am going to use both glue and tape. Again, if you only have glue, glue will be fine. I just always go for the more safe than sorry kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to pull that up. I am going to put glue on both sides of the ledges, and then out here put a little glue too, and put a little glue on all your edges. There we go. That ought to hold us down. So the first thing you're going to do is work the first edge, work your center, a little bit of glue there. And then work this other edge, get that into that glue, and then just get that little piece down. Remember, I don't mind glue coming out because that just means that I've got all the edges taken care of. All those little corners and stuff. I try to not have it happen, but just means I got my glue nice, and there we go. Okay, so there's that side. Now we have our tape. I don't remember if I burnished that or not. It's not wanting to come up easily. Okay, scissor or pokey tool or whatever it is that you use. So I am going to glue the edge of the paper. Oh, you know what? I didn't even make the score in there yet. Dork. I didn't even make the score in there yet. So let's put this back on. Or we're going to do the first scoring right down into the score tape. Okay. So I'm going to put this, score it, get the center down, and then score the opposite side. There we go. Lift it back up. I know I got glue on it, but it should lift back up. There we go. Now, let's get the glue just below the gully that we made onto the paper. And let's go ahead and burnish that down. Fold this back a little bit. Let's burnish this down, make sure it's holding nicely. Okay, now we will take this bad boy off and we will put some glue on the ends of the paper. Put glue on each side of the gully around the score tape. A little bit on each end and a little wiggle. So we're going to start by pushing it into the gully closest to the big sheet. And then push it into the center. Push it into the other edge of the gully onto your smaller sheet here. Oh, my hands are getting full. Getting full. This needs wash. I can't find a place that doesn't have glue on it. And then push your remaining piece down. You want to make sure this glues down very nicely. Okay, and we're going to make sure, whoops, didn't mean to do that. We're going to make sure both of these dry nicely before we start bending anything. So we're going to put this to the side for right now, and we're going to start on our pages. See, I still have a piece there, and then all these little pieces I'm going to go ahead and chuck. If they're that small, I don't save them. I just don't. Little housekeeping. I gotta keep our place nice and neat and clean. Oh, and my little Christmas present I got. I just love this thing. Keeps everything nice and clean. Okay. So I'm going to put the pin in my glue. Now, I pulled out 15 sheets of black paper, 8.5 by 11. And I saved out 2 to do with you. Now, the first thing that we're going to do, oh, that's another piece of Tyvek I got to put back. I put my Tyvek away already because we were done with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to 8.5 by 11. So we're going to cut this down to 7 1/4. All right. So this needs to be 7 1/4 wide. Then we're going to take our piece and we're going to score at 1.5. So here is 1.5, and we're going to score at 1.5. Okay, we're going to fold it and burnish it. Now we're going to put it back into our scorer and score again at 1.5. So that is right along that edge. You want to kind of do this slowly because you can pop off pretty easily. And then you're going to score at 2. All right. Then you're going to put this into your cutter folded, and you're going to measure out to 7 5/8 and cut. Okay, so 7 5/8. There's 7.5, and then up 1 more and cut. So that is our page. And we're going to have 15 of these pages. So I'm going to go over it with you one more time. You're going to take one. And what I did is I did all 15 minus the 2. And I scored it 1.5, folded them all. Then scored it 1.5 again and scored it the 2. I did all of those that way. And then I took them all and I cut them all at 7 5/8. Okay? So you can do it however you want, but I found that to be very quick and easy. Just kind of did the little assembly line thing that you can do. When you fold this, you want to make sure that you are lining up with the edges, okay? Because you don't want this to be crooked. And I am lining up on my edges, and then just give it a little burnish. Put it back on your score. Now this is a little thicker here, so you want to make sure that you have it all the way against the edge in order to be able to score this 1.5 incher. If you have this a little off or a little crooked, you're going to be getting into your paper. And then again at 2. Put this into your cutter, mark it at 7 5/8 on this end, and cut this end off. There's a half, and go up 1/8 and cut. Okay, so I ended up with a thin long strip and a wider shorter strip. Okay, and those are going to come in handy, so keep all of those for our pages. So now we have 15 pages. Very, very cool. So the next thing is putting your pages into your book. I'm going to kind of straighten up and I'll be right back. All right, so I went ahead and I took a piece of scrap black and I made it the same size, same width as our pages. Then I folded it in half, opened it back up, measured in 2 inches and popped a hole in there, measured in 2 inches and popped a hole in there. Now I used my big daddy, big crocodile 2, whatever you want to call it. I call it my big daddy. But if you only have like a pokey tool, then just poke it and make the hole as large as you can, and it will work just the same. And I also wrote top. So what we're going to do, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this even on the both sides here and run it right along the top edge of this first centerpiece of our spine, okay? And then just take a pencil, make your mark. I kind of fill it in. It makes it a little easier to see. And then we're going to flip it just in case it's not completely right. We're going to flip it, eyeball, make sure we're right there along the edge, and we're going to make a hole and fill it in. Make a round circle and fill in that hole. So now we've got those. And I'm just going to see if we are lined up. And we are. I just was looking to see how well these lined up. I am using a 3/16 hole because I am going to use some eyelets. Now, if you don't have eyelets or a way to use eyelets, it won't make a difference. There we go. I hurt my hand, scraped it all the way down, banged it and scraped it all the way down. So I'm a little funky with this one. So if you see me struggling a little bit, that's all it is. It's getting so much better. My puppy Hooch is 6 months old now and weighs 46.5 pounds. I think he was at 35 at 4 months. So we're hoping we're going to stop somewhere. All right, there's that one. And there's that one. And then just kind of fold it and see. And yeah, they line up really nicely. Really nicely. Okay. Don't put your Big Daddy away, because we're going to do the pages now. All right. And you're probably asking, why did I fold this top little section here? When you lay the papers down, by having a double edge there, it leaves a little bit of space in between each page, so that when you go to put a layer of paper on here, you do have that space, that you're not going to just, blow this thing out like a crocodile. Okay? So that is why you have this flap here. Gives you just a little bit more room to work with. Now, we want to get this nice and lined up. Everything straight along here is the most important, both top and bottom and straight. And now I'm going to get let's see, can I put this, put my top at the top, line this up with my papers, and I don't think if I stick this in the center that it's going to be in the way, but we will see. I'll be able to slide it over. I don't think I'll be able to go through all of them though, so probably let's just do 4 or 5 at a time. This Big Daddy will do quite a bit, but I know it won't go through all of them, so I might as well not make it quite so hard on myself. Let me move this out of the way. And if you are doing a pokey tool, you could probably do a couple at a time and have it taken care of that way. Now we're just going to line up this hole. And got to get it where you can see the light. I can see the light. And then fit it down inside that hole. And push it all the way through. Very nice. Very nice indeed. There we go. See, this makes short order work of it. Okay, so there's that done. Get a couple more. Line this up across the top. Take your time, make sure you get this lined up, because the better aligning you do, the better your pages are going to fit down in your book. There we go. And then last section. I'm keeping the top where I wrote top, making sure that I've got that up here at the top instead of maybe flipped over. Like I said, take your time and get this right. There we go. All right, last time. There we go. All right. So now all our pages are done. And it makes a really nice hole all the way through. Having yourself a template is the secret to that one. All right. So now, let's just see how well. Oh yeah, they line up very nicely. Good. And again. And if you end up having to take a few pages out because it's thicker, then that's what you'll have to do. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take out, let's see, if I take out 2 pages. Oh, that fits up in there much nicer. Much nicer. Because if they don't fit all the way up, you're not going to be able to line the holes up. So you're just going to have to see what it tells you you can do. So that will work right there. And then there's all your pages in your book. All right. Okay. Now, so I'm out 2 pages, but you know what? We'll be able to use these. So don't get rid of them. We'll come up with something for that. So what does that make? 13 pages in here. All right, so another thing that we're going to do, because we have these leftovers and these leftovers, which we're going to try and use some if not all of those. And I have a sticker sheet, and I always like to back it on black, so I will be using these for that as well. And some of them might be larger, where having one of these pages, that will be super nice to be able to get some of the larger tickets. So that might be how we end up using these 2 pages. We will just have to see. And of course, if I pick a sticker you don't like, you can totally pick a different sticker if you have the sticker sheet. All right. What I was thinking was, now we're going to have room for 4x6s. And we're going to have room for, what did I say? I think it was 3.5 by 5.5. Let me see. Because I want it to be as large a picture as possible. And we have, yeah, there's 5.5 from our first score line from the bottom of the page. It's 5.5. And then this is 7.25. So, 3 inches and 3 inches, 6, 3.5, and 3.5 is 7. So 3.5 by 5.25 So let me write that down. So we're going to do 4 by 6s and 3.5 by 5 1/4. So we're going to do some of these for picture mats. And so if you have some paper that you want to use with the paper line that you're doing, I'm not going to do a bunch of them, but I want to try and decorate for a picture on these, because these are going to be, it's basically like a scrapbook page to me. So I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to set up where the photo will be and then decorate all around it to make it fun and interesting and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm going with this. So, what is this? This is 4.5. So I could probably get by 8.5. So I can't really get a whole lot out of that one. I'm just going to leave this for scrap. And let's see. So what did I do with the rest of that paper? That's a good question. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on just a second. Okay, so I'm actually going to be making 3 sizes. I'm making the 3.5 by 5 1/4. I'm making 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. It's kind of a square picture. And then I'm making the 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I've kind of changed my mind a little bit. And this one is basically the end of this one. But for the 3.5 by 5 1/4, here's your 8.5 sheet. So you want to cut at 3.5 and then again at 3.5, and then you'll get 4 of these out of one sheet. And then the 4 1/4, pretty much, I measured 6 1/4, and there's your there's your 8.5 by 11 sheet with a little bit of scrap. So that's why I went ahead and added this third one so that I could, you know, just utilize the paper better. All right, so I'm going to make myself, I don't know. I've got 13 pages. I don't know if I'm going to do anything on the back, just leave them black. So I need at least 13 of these. And right now I have 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 of these. I think that's all I have of these. I've got 2 of these and 4 of these. So I'm making 4 more of these, and then I'll make take another sheet and cut these out, and that ought to give me just fine. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 extra sheets of 8.5 by 11 will give you probably enough to do what we need to do. So again, 3.5. Yeah. And then 5, what was it? 5 1/4. And 5 1/4. There's 2. And this is always so exciting to sit here and listen to me cut things. 5 1/4. 5 1/4. Okay, so this one I measure over 6 1/2 this way and cut. Right? 6 1/4. So sorry. 6 1/4. And then I want 4 1/4. Which cuts that page in half. So there's 4 of those. And then I need 4 1/4 on this one. The bottom half of the piece. This bottom half of this. And that, whoop, oh, that will cut that in half. So now we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, we've got 16 of them. So probably more than we need, but who knows? Who knows? So those are done. So that required another little bit. And leave that there. Little housekeeping. we always doesn't take long to get quite the mess. There we go. Okay. So, now the question is, do you want to decorate these after they're in? Or do you want to decorate them first and then put them in? Because I've never done this kind of style before, I think I'm going to go ahead and insert everything and then decorate. I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I can really follow how fat things are getting. Okay, so let me get everything I need for that and I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can do this.